Good morning, folks. So welcome to our daily Facebook Live. We do these Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. MST. And I'm going to start today. Today, we're not going to talk about spiritual stuff or whatever. We're going to talk about mindful stuff, which is hopefully what we talk about every day. And we're going to talk about mindful business, who to support. You know, our hard-earned dollars create a better world or a worse world, and yet many of us support businesses kind of casually without really thinking about the ramifications. So none of this is hippie if you care about the middle class, if you care about good people, if you care about supporting, mindful businesses. We're going to go over that. So at the very end, we'll do a meditation instruction. This whole thing should be about 20 minutes. We welcome comments and questions. We typically have been getting 150 comments and questions. So today we're going to ask you for all your favorite companies and recommendations. But first, I'm going to read something which is cool. So I popped into my accountant's room here and I said, Caitlin, what's your favorite mindful business? And I was expecting her, she's a mom, to say something like Whole Foods or, I don't know, Chipotle, something like that. And she said McGuckin. McGuckin is a local hardware store, and that's a great recommendation. Great reminder that local businesses are often the best to support. So I'm going to start with reading an article, just a paragraph of it from elephantjournal.com. And I've been asked to say my name, Waylon Lewis, Elephant Journal. In case you don't know, I'm the founder of Elephant. If you love it, that's cool. If you don't love Elephant, I'm not the founder. I really have no idea about Elephant whatsoever, and I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so here's why we want to support local businesses. Obviously, not all local businesses are the same, but this is really interesting. This is from an article called Why Shop Local? Local businesses return 80 cents of each dollar to the community, which is one good reason. So first, says locally owned businesses return about 80% of each dollar to their community, and each dollar spent at a local business will return up to 5 times that amount within your community through city taxes, employees' wages, purchases of materials, supplies and services at other independent businesses. Chains and franchises, on the other hand, contribute roughly 40%, which is half as much, and as little as 20% of sales back to your community. And many big boxes, such as Walmart or Home Depot, are given tax incentives by local governments, costing you far more than the discounted price you think you're paying. That goes for sports teams as well. Ever wonder why you can't find a particular local independent publication in a national bookstore? Well, most national chains like the look of sameness from one store to the next. So that's a great example. I wrote my first book, Things I Would Like to Do With You, and we sell it on Elephant. But locally, all these locations carried it. And it was the #1 bestseller for 2 months straight at Boulder Bookstore. And that was even after I'd done Kickstarter and after I'd done a big launch party and sold books to all my friends. So even locally, it was this huge hit. And yet we have been trying to work with Ingram nationally. Ingram kind of controls most distribution of books that you would want to read in the entire U.S., and they don't want to carry my book because it doesn't have distribution yet, ironically. So it's sort of a chicken and the egg. They want it to be a proven thing, but really you have to kind of prove it through Ingram. So we're still talking with them, and hopefully it'll work out, but because it sold really well online. But that's just an example, and it's not about me. It's an example of big businesses, whether they're Facebook, Ingram, Amazon. They're not really looking out for you. They're looking out for profits. And that doesn't make them evil by any means. It just makes them kind of uncaring in the way that a small local bookshop might want to pick up a little poetry book from someone local and then host a reading and then support them, and then they become a bigger success, perhaps. So, there's sources, Raphael, in the article. So if you, I think there's an elephant person here in comments. Who's the elephant person? Can you just say your name after you leave a comment? So it's called Why Shop Local, and there should be sources in there. If there's not, It looks like there's one source, which is Boulder Independent Business Alliance. They might be a little biased, but you can Google. It's one Google search away. There's another big businesses. So yesterday I was in McGuckin Hardware. It's more expensive than Home Depot, I'm sure, overall, although I think they're pretty competitive. It's been here for 60 years or something. There's 4 generations. Literally, I'm talking with the great-grandpa guy who's more or less the founder of McGuckin, Dave Height. So we're talking with him about World War II and Korea and his service and his friend's service, and it's really fun and inspiring, and his memory is better than mine is, and I'm almost 42. He's like twice my age. And then his son is working down the aisle, and then his son's son is working down the aisle, a different aisle, and then his son's son just had a son, and he's talking about that. And so, you really see that you're supporting these generations of local, wonderful people who really care, and they're fun, and they're weird, and they're great. And why is McGuckin more expensive? Well, often they'll support, number one, they'll support a lot of local kind of inventors and hardware type companies. Number two, there's people to help you in every single aisle. They're wearing green vests, and they're everywhere. When you go to Home Depot, I remember walking in there one of very few times I've ever gone in. You really can't find anyone to help you with your questions unless you go to them. In McGuckin, there's someone in every other aisle ready there, and they know their stuff. They're like craftspeople. They're really caring. So, local first, I think, is a great reminder. In terms of the businesses I was going to talk about, which I regard as really mindful, caring businesses, and they're really rare. So every year, if you want to look on my YouTube channel, has millions and millions of views, is called, we go to a thing called Natural Products Expo West, and that's like where all the natural products companies are. Of course, the word natural means nothing. It doesn't mean organic. It doesn't mean healthy. Natural is a word that's thrown around all the time. But there I interview all my favorite companies, and it's a short list, sadly. So you can see my interviews there. But I'll mention a couple of my favorites. So for tea, many tea companies are starting to use tea bags that are literally nylon plastic. Plastic plus hot water plus you drinking is not a good combination. It's not even a good combination if you're wearing synthetic plastics, if you're sweating and exercising a lot. Plastic is a hard, brittle material, and to make it flexible, you have to put in all kinds of toxic-y stuff. So try and wear, organic, natural fibers, and trying to eat organic, natural stuff. So one of my favorite companies is Numit, N-U-M-I-T. They have a biodegradable, non-GMO tea bag. And a reminder to all the pro-GMO types, who I have many pro-GMO friends, I would say I'm pro-GMO on some level, even though I'm anti-GMO. The problem with GMOs is not that we're messing with nature. We've done that through breeding and all that. The problem with GMOs is we're not testing whether it's safe, number one, and which is science. Science wants to test and test and test and make sure it's safe. And then number two, GMOs can be patented and controlled, and food should not really be owned or controlled. Life forms like pigs should not be invented and owned and controlled by anyone other than, say, God or Mother Nature. So it's a reminder that being anti-GMO is not being anti-science. Alrighty. So in comments, let's have a little fun here. Mention maybe your favorite company, and we'll try and get a list of mindful companies that we all want to support. One company I love to support that's national, that's a chain, is Chipotle. Chipotle is affordable. They employ a ton of people. I think they have a pretty good ramp up for people to make more money if they're a manager. And a lot of the food is organic there, and a lot of the food is, like the pork and stuff, which I don't eat, I'm a vegan boy, is free range. They created the free range pork market. It really didn't exist, and that's a significant improvement for animal welfare. That said, free range is practically meaningless and not nearly good enough, and hopefully we can all, if we eat meat, go to pasture raised. So it's just, a step forward at a time. The other thing I like about Chipotle and don't like is that there's almost no waste. The only waste is the tinfoil. You can't really recycle the tinfoil that I can see. If they had recycling for tinfoil, it could pretty much be a zero waste meal. So that's a recommendation from me. Obviously, Chipotle can have too much salt and too many calories. It can be too big. So you got to eat it kind of mindfully. New York Times did some great articles on that. So, yeah, Perry, we're about to blog up that. I've just been talking with Chipotle's people, blog up their new commercial. I haven't seen it yet, but they do great marketing that's usually quite meaningful. They did this Willie Nelson thing about kind of the comeback of local farms, which I loved. So I'm hoping all of you have some suggestions. I would say another company that gets made fun of constantly is Whole Foods. Whole Foods I am a big fan of, despite them being far from perfect. I have kind of done exposés on their founding CEO, John Mackey, who I also know personally. He's a great guy, but he's also kind of an interesting guy, to put it vaguely, and didn't believe in climate change and things like that. So I've written about that, and I'm happy to be critical of those companies I admire, but overall I do really think they are a company with a mission, with a conscience. They've helped kind of galvanize and organize the green movement that is vital to fight climate change and to live healthier lives. Americans, we have a blog on Elephant called Just 20 Years, and it shows that, so I live in Colorado. We're the fittest state in the U.S., the fittest, in the best shape. But only 20 years ago or so, I think only 20 years ago at the time I put up that blog, our current rate in 2016 of obesity or fitness, either way, would have made us the fattest state only 20 years ago. So you can see how quickly the U.S. is going through an obesity epidemic, and that's largely thanks to marketing. I know a lot of marketing and ad agency folks, and the job they and these major corporations have done of kind of stuffing us, almost like the way they've stuffed their chickens and turkeys to the point where they can't walk on their own legs, is kind of a crime. And it's also a bit of a crime that the U.S. government, the FDA, and all of them haven't really done a very good job intervening. So hopefully, we all can enjoy our food, but also know the source, know how healthy it is, and not overeat. And exercise a little more. That's all fun stuff. So you're in Vermont. I lived in Vermont. I love Vermont. Ben & Jerry's is a fantastic company. I just read a business sort of biography of Ben & Jerry's. Ice cream is far from healthy, and yet if we're going to eat ice cream, it's good to eat healthier ice cream. Ben & Jerry's just came out with a vegan ice cream, which I'm a big fan of. It tastes delicious. Thank God. We need a vegan Cherry Garcia, though. And Ben & Jerry's was this amazing company. When I lived in Vermont, they were still independent. They got kind of taken over by Unilever. I forget when, like around 2000. Someone could correct me. But they've managed, largely thanks to one board member, Jeff, they've managed to kind of reclaim their integrity and be a great business. So I really support them. My favorite ice cream company now is kind of like Ben & Jerry's in terms of it's thick and it's full of good stuff, but it's vegan and delicious. It's called Luna and Larry's, and I've met them briefly at Natural Products West. All right, good old Vermont. Another good Vermont company is Cabot Cheese. Again, I'm vegan, so I don't eat them, but back in the day, they're a great local dairy. Local dairies are great to support if you are into the dairy. Juice Bar from Stephen Kale. I don't know Juice Bar, but maybe say more if you are so inspired. What's mindful or good about them? Lauren Marie Kane, fantastic. So I was just at Farmer's Market yesterday. You say I would much rather shop at our local farmer's market, so that would be my first choice. As for a chain, I love Aldi. What is Aldi and why do you love them? I don't know these companies. Maybe I don't shop enough. So I was at Farmer's Market. Farmer's Market I love partially because it's a whole bunch of liberals and hippies mainly who love to support farmers markets, but they're supporting farmers who generally are not hippies, So it's a fantastic just network of great farmers, great kind of mindful shoppers. It's a fun experience, and everyone can just let go of their labels and their political things and just kind of support one another on our planet and be kinder to hopefully animals and our health. So I'm scrolling through. Love my take on GMOs. Yeah, so I've written a couple blogs on GMOs, many, and One of them is worth rereading. It's kind of unbelievable. It's actually focused on Monsanto and all the reasons we don't support Monsanto. I think it's something about like why Monsanto is evil, and there's the featured images of Darth Vader. That's the one worth reading. It'll blow your mind. I guarantee it, like 10 times, and I'm not into hyperbole. Ragnar, cool name. I do not have a sister. I wish I did. All right. Andy Coco, companies and organizations can show me they're mindful when they show up to denounce police brutality and anti-black murder. Well, we should be anti-murder for anyone, obviously, but Andy agreed. Socially responsible activist businesses are very rare. So if you want to support those kind of businesses, generally large corporations are not going to take that kind of risk or kind of stand. Ben & Jerry's has been an exception historically. They've been very involved in social issues. And, generally, Andy, I would support local entrepreneurs. If you want to support, black entrepreneurs or women entrepreneurs, find businesses to support. Right now, you're leaving a comment on Facebook, which I haven't seen active in any of those issues. But Andy Coco, great point that social responsibility, social activism is a huge and often missing component with businesses. Elephant's very active in a lot of these issues. We blog about those exact issues that you just mentioned. We'd love to do more. If you'd like to contribute, anyone can always write elephantjournal.com/submit. And Elephant does not believe in only what we believe. So like you can contribute anything. We can disagree with it. Well, as long as it's thoughtful and respectful, we'll feature it. All right, Raphael, I mentioned that. Let me see if there's any other comments. Let's see. Not sure what that's about. American Apparel. Ashley, thank you about my haircut. Yeah, American Apparel is a fantastic business. Vertical integration is a really exciting thing. They're really good to most of their employees. Obviously, and we've done many blogs on this. If you search American Apparel on Elephant Journal, we've done blogs about the good about them. They do a lot of organic, made in LA, good for the economy, but they also have an incredibly questionable, controversial, skeezy founder, Dov Charney, but in his limited defense, he's very open about how skeezy he is. Many CEOs and founders and companies are skeezy in a horrible way for the planet, for many people, but they're not open about it. At least Dov is, like, to say the least, open about his skeeziness. So yeah, I agree. American Apparel is a good company, if not a great founder. And he's no longer, I think, in charge. I think they've been bought or sold or invested in a few times. So in any case, brilliant company and definitely flawed. All right. Stephen Kale, they're based out of Nashville. Cool. The Juice Bar, I think you're talking about. Scrolling up to see. So many comments. I like this. So mention, again, if you're just tuning in, mention your favorite mindful company and why and where. It can be local. It can be something none of us have heard of. Stephen Kale, they're based out of Nashville. Vegan juices, smoothies, sales. So one thing I would say, and I've written an article about this, is that like smoothies and juices are bad for you. They're good for you in a limited way. Like kombucha is the same thing. You're supposed to take a shot glass of kombucha, not drink a whole bottle. Juices, smoothies, they take out all the fiber, all the good stuff that slows down your digestion, and they just give you the sugar. So I think they're a little overrated. But Stephen, thank you for that link. Allison Joel. Vermont also, as of July 1st, all GMOs must be labeled. Yay. 3,000 products have been pulled out. 10% of Price Chopper stock. Yeah, so if you're pro-GMO or anti-GMO, either way, label them. If you're pro-GMO, you should be proud that they're GMO and support them and want them labeled. If you're anti-GMO, we definitely want them labeled. The only reason they wouldn't be labeled is because they're embarrassed and they don't want to lose sales. So be transparent, GMO companies. And remember the anti-GMO label, whatever it's called, non-GMO label. I've done a video. You can see my video with the CEO or the president of the non-GMO thing. It's on youtube.com/elephantjournal. Just search GMO. That said, non-GMO is not enough. Non-GMO means it could be sprayed with pesticides its entire life. It needs to be organic. Organic is a label that we can trust for now. It's always being challenged by the big corporations and it's got issues with it, but overall it's identifiable, it's trustworthy, and it's worth investing in and supporting. Emma Justin Coleman, I feel like a great idea would be to question the question of childhood hunger and homelessness, a thought to where waste and overage might be considered for. Are there any businesses that focus on helping the homeless and hunger problem? Thank you for the live stream rocking compliment. So please, Emma, watch. It's one of my favorite interviews I ever got to do. I started crying and had to run off camera. But barely anyone has watched it because it's not sexy and fun. It's a video with Boulder Food Rescue, and I'll say no more. It's they're so inspiring. They're worth supporting. And as you'll see in the video, they talk about how there's many such around the country and how they can support that and how you can support that. You watch that video, you contact them, and do more. Aldi hires minimal employees, maybe 5 per store, so they are able to keep their costs down. They sell brown bags, but prefer that you pick up and take empty boxes throughout the store while you're shopping. They sell so much gluten-free, non-GMO, fair trade certified, organic, wonderful prices because the community all comes together to keep costs down. I'm not even sure if I explained that well or if I just rambled. I think that was great. You nailed it. Alrighty. What is porn culture? I don't get that comment. Perry, local independent bookstores. Fantastic suggestion. So local independent bookstores, even better, Perry, is used bookstores. Because as I've talked about with my experience of writing my first book, things I would like to do with you, it was really hard to get a cover that wasn't plastic lined. All books are plastic now. Most are made overseas. Most aren't eco paper. Most have toxic inks. Most have toxic glues. It's a horrible process. Our book was able to avoid almost all of that and do a good old-fashioned, beautiful eco book that supports all kinds of good things. We plant a tree or donate to orphaned elephants with every book sold. And you can get my book, or you can at least check it out if you want, just to see how it's eco or whatever, at elephantjournal.com/books. Alrighty, hopefully we have a button or a link to the book on our homepage. I'm not sure if we do. Bess? Tracy Brockman, an amazing company here in Phoenix, is called Waste Not. They collect food from restaurants at the end of each day and feed the homeless that night. It's all fresh, never stored. Fantastic. I love that suggestion. So if you're just tuning in, mention your favorite mindful local or national business or international business. We've gone through a bunch. They're all in the video. And the video is recorded. You can watch it later if you're late. Stephen Kale, we have a bunch of blogs on gluten. I have a blog that's sort of infamous. It was very popular, but also widely reviled by our own readers, about how most gluten-free stuff is not good for you. It's marketing. It's a fad. Obviously, if you're celiac or gluten intolerant, if that's a real thing, who knows? There's different takes on that scientifically, health-wise. Obviously, celiac is a real thing. But all these companies, they want to make money. When you go to Natural Products Expo, the last couple of years, gluten-free has been the biggest thing. And all these companies, it's not that they're newly passionate about gluten-free, GF, is that they want to make money. And nothing's wrong with that. But that does mean that they're offering a lot of high sugar, high processed, high packaged crap that happens to be gluten-free. So while it's nice to have alternatives if you're celiac or gluten intolerant, that it is gluten-free alone does not mean it's healthy. So you could read that blog. It's called 99% of gluten-free is bad for you, something like that. And sadly, that's probably pretty accurate. Tracy. I have no idea what you guys are saying. All right. Alberto, Joey, Monteverde the Fourth. Hell of a name. I have never met anyone old enough to have eaten a non-GMO banana. They haven't existed organically since 1949. After 1992, the Cavendish GMO banana, aka the yellow banana, has been GMO since day one to help with global hunger. I do not think Chiquita or others give a shite about global hunger. When I was in Hawaii, they were like burning the banana fields with all the plastic piping. It's super toxic, and it's happening every day. They're not good to the locals. I can't imagine global hunger is truly a passion of any GMO company, and I'd love to see proof about that. That said, you're correct. There are various staples like corn, wheat, etc. I've written about these, and bananas. We have some killer articles like why to only eat organic bananas, which I don't think are GMO, but you are correct that there are like something like 99% of all bananas are now that one Cavendish yellow banana. Anyway, love to you. Great comment. I'm not sure if my science is off in terms of bananas, since I hadn't talked about bananas, but I'm frequently wrong, as anyone who knows me says, and I'm happy to be challenged and to correct the record. So look for one of the banana articles. We'll put them in the comments, and you can leave a comment there, and I'll reply, and then we'll update the correct thing next time. But I'm not sure what you're saying. My science is off because I didn't even mention bananas. But if you're saying generally, yeah, I don't think GMOs are necessarily meant to be healthier or meant to end global hunger. They're meant to make more money. They're meant to resist, like with apples, they're trying to have apples now that won't ever brown. Something browning, maybe we don't like that, but browning is a sign of aging or not being kept cold or kept, in a container. It's natural for things to age. McDonald's and other foodstuffs that never age, that are, the burger looks the same 10 years later, that's not something we want. Preservatives, or, it being injected with some other sort of GMO kind of thing, that's not necessarily a good thing. It just makes it easier to sell. There are examples, if GMOs were all publicly funded and controlled, we could target GMOs to real problems like global hunger. And then I think you would find that all the so-called hippies would support GMOs. Hippies don't have a problem with what do you call it, grafting, with things like that are, we've tested enough that we know that they're safe. All right, Natalie, moving to Asheville, amazing place, North Carolina. I haven't been, but I've heard good things. I think that's where F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote a lot of good stuff. And I love Green Sage. They serve vegan and gluten-free. They use organic and local ingredients and have a great breakdown system of recycling, compost, etc. That sounds amazing. You were in Boulder this past weekend? Oh, you should have said hi. And besides being able to get a vegan meal in many different places, I love Zio in particular. That's where I just came from. I just had oatmeal with dates and walnuts in my oatmeal there, with good Denver roasted organic coffee, and it's like 5 minutes from our office, and met with Bess about sponsors. All right, and I loved many consignment shops that were there. Yeah, I'm always wearing 90% Buffalo Exchange, which is a cool company, I think. You bought a few great vintage dresses, and you think buying secondhand is a great eco-friendly and budget-conscious way to shop. Great. Goldmine in particular, that's where I get all my cowboy shirts. Goldmine is amazing, great people. That's a fantastic suggestion. So secondhand clothes are by far the most eco, right? They're by far the best in terms of animal rights. They're often more affordable. Secondhand clothes, whether they're at Goodwill or Salvation Army or a store that's more expensive like Buffalo Exchange or Goldmine or whatever is in your hood, are fantastic. Alrighty. Alberto, yeah, righteous, thank you for the comment. Patricia, I'm gluten intolerant, it's real. You're right though, processed food is unhealthy. Yeah, never said gluten, well, I did say celiac is definitely not, is definitely real. Gluten intolerance, it's not that it's real or not real, but there's different scientific studies on that, and I blogged about that in that blog. But in any case, yeah, I mean, the lady I've been dating, she eats gluten, and she's not celiac, but she has horrible, painful indigestion. So God bless. Whatever's working for you, fantastic, but it's always good to not believe in something, to just read the science, and then you can disagree with it, and that's fine, because science can be off once in a while too. And that's science's quest. That's why we love science, because it's always questioning and open and transparent. Douglas in Chicago. Douglas Mercado, is that what it says? Beside Patagonia, can you recommend another environmentally friendly clothing company? Patagonia is amazing. They invested in organic cotton. Yvon Chouinard, the founder, is a idol of mine. Patagonia is just amazing overall. So many things they do well. Even just being transparent about, they have this project called the Footprint Chronicles, which shows where everything is made. My one complaint with Patagonia, and I did a blog on this, Prana, this applies to a lot of ethical companies, is they don't really make much in the US, if anything. American Apparel gets all kinds of hell for their scummy, skeezy founder person, and we've covered that on Elephant in a responsible journalism kind of way. But, you know, they don't get enough credit for making their stuff in the US and for vertical integration. I'd love to see more companies bring it back to the US. The reason they're not in the US is because they want to save money on labor, and the environmental regulations just aren't present in Vietnam and China and the like that are, or Bangladesh, that are present here in the US. That's one reason why, and I don't want to start a firestorm, but that TPP is, Obama's pushing TPP, is to get to higher environmental regulations. There's obviously problems with TPP too, and we've done lots of articles on the good and the bad. Stephen Kale, part of the halo the GMO companies put on their product is that they are easier to grow and can help end global hunger. Yeah, these huge corporations are just so inspiring. They're so devoted to ending global hunger. I don't think so. Most of the problem with global hunger is distribution and access and corruption in these countries, not lack of food supply. A lot, you know, Nestle is buying up water rights. These companies care about the bottom line. Generally, they do not care about ending global hunger. I'd love to be wrong, and if there are any companies that you think are outstanding, mention them in comments. That's what we're doing here. Yeah, right. So, yeah, and if they are proud of being GMO, again, they should label their products and really defend and talk about why they're proud of being GMO. Everyone should be pro-labeling. Clear information, transparency should be the bottom line for all food that we eat. Whether we're pro or anti-GMO or gluten-free or whatever it is, it should be labeled. Andrew, know nothing about that, but you could Google on Elephant. Google those metals and nano water, and there's probably a blog. We have a ton, you know, we put up like 50 blogs a day. Yeah, Alberto, I'm here in Boulder. That's super cool. I don't know what A-Town is. What is A-Town? Is that a martial arts place? I haven't done martial arts since I was a kid. I used to study Kung Fu, which I loved. Tiger Claw. All right. Sarah, I don't know anything about that, but yeah, we have a great article called Wool is Cruel that you can put in the comments, which really was a wake-up call for me, because as a vegan, as an environmentalist, I don't like all the polyester, the synthetic products. Wool is an amazing product, especially being a cyclist, but I really try and get only secondhand now, which is hard because I love Filson, I love Pendleton, I love Patagonia. But a lot, if you read that Wool is Cruel article, they'll talk about mule zing, which is the problem with a lot of the wool supply. But absent mule zing and with good treatment of the sheep, I think wool could be amazing. And Sarah, if you Google that and you update it here, if you want to write an article about Patagonian wool, I would love that. It could be updated. elephantjournal.com/submit. Sad to me that, so this is probably our lowest viewership of any discussion I've done in like the last, 2 weeks that we've done, because people tend to not really care about sourcing or about environmental issues or even about their own health. They care about relationships, they care about mindfulness tips. You know, we care about us, but it's good to care about the world too. So for those of you who are tuned in and commenting, I salute you. Where there is love, there is life. Your comment doesn't seem to apply to anything, but it's very nice. So thanks for your generic spam. Victoria, can you speak louder? Hard to hear. Volume is up all the way. I think I'm plenty loud, but if others can leave in comments, if I'm quiet, fantastic here. Alberto, Aurora, I should have known that. My dad lives in Aurora. Our store is at 16th and Pearl, and yeah, we sell a bunch of like organic cotton tote bags and, you know, fun things. If you want to ever pop by, we'd love it. It's an orange building. All right, Mindy, thank you as well. And unless there's more comments in the next 5 seconds, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much. If you want to support Elephant, Facebook is not enough since they're turning down the noise on news, which is their prerogative, but it's going to kind of more or less put us out of business. If you want to keep Elephant around in your life, get our daily newsletter. It's free, elephantjournal.com/newsletter. Great URL. And thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow and every day. And generally, we focus on fun things today. I love this stuff, but many people are not that passionate about conscious consumerism. And we actually have a page called Conscious Consumerism on Facebook. Alrighty. See you tomorrow, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. MST. Oh, we didn't do meditation. Do we want to do meditation? Leave a comment. Just say yes or no. Yes or no. We'll see how quickly it works. Maybe not that quickly. All right, we'll do a meditative bow. Yes, all right, Alberto, you're a hero today. Catherine, all right. So, wherever you are, standing, sitting, this is Buddhist meditation. Shamatha, Echo, Mindy, thank you. Take a deep breath. Take a great posture, and then relax. Find your breath in and out. Do this wholeheartedly. If you're watching for any reason, let's do meditation. Give your mind and heart a break. Meditation can help you be better at your job, better at your work, better at your, it's the same thing, better at your relationships. So find your breath in and out. Place your attention gently on your breath in and out. Let's try that. Okay, now if you find yourself distracted, thoughts about work, thoughts about lunch, thoughts about an argument, a song in your head, Taylor Swift, whatever, you can label it thinking gently. Return your attention to your breath again and again. Let's try that for a bit. Attention on your breath. If you find yourself thinking, say it to yourself silently, thinking, and return your attention to the breath. Eyes are open, hands are flat on your thighs. So you can practice that twice a day, morning and evening, and then the way you can begin and end your meditation is to bow to yourself, to the world, to others, and the bow is a dedication of any merit that you've created in your day or in your meditation practice or in your work or your life, and you're offering that to others. So I bow to you, and maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.